To be honest, I've always found Vespiquen to be a pretty peculiar Pokemon, considering that it has not one, not two, but three signature moves, and yet it's still so bad. So, yeah, let's start playing with those moves and see what we can get out of it. Attack Order is probably the one that sounds the best right now. It's 90 power, 100 accuracy, and a high critical hit ratio, which makes it into a Leaf Blade clone that's bug type, effectively. So, I don't think this needs that much of an improvement. Boosting the power to 100 would make it into an Earthquake with a high critical hit ratio, but for Vespiquen, it's the only Pokemon that gets it aside from Smeargle, and when was the last time you ever saw Smeargle with Attack Order anyway? So, yeah, I guess it's perfectly justifiable. Defend Order, I would improve so that it also gives a boost of 1 level to Speed every time you use it. It sort of makes sense in a way because Speed is not only used for offensive purposes, it can be used for defense as well, and right now, Defend Order, it's just a clone of Cosmic Power. So, once again, it sort of needs an extra boost to make it stand out. So, that's my attempt at an answer. I thought maybe of having it randomly increase one defense by 2 levels and the other by 1. But ultimately, I prefer this because Vespiquen desperately needs the speed. If it lives long enough to set up, which I sort of doubt with Stealth Rock around, but still. And as for Heal Order, well, speaking of Stealth Rock, I would personally improve it since it's exclusive to Vespiquen, so that it grants full recovery instead of just being a straight-up recover clone. I mean, it's got a Leaf Blade clone, a Cosmic Power clone, and a recover clone, so none of these moves are that special that they would pull a pretty bad Pokemon out of the bottom of the barrel. So this is my attempt at an answer to make Vespiquen slightly more viable. I don't think that would work very well, to be perfectly honest with you. But hey, at least I tried, and if they were to do that and it just wouldn't work, then there's always Generation 7 to try and make things right again. Next up, Searing Shot. Now you might be wondering why the hell I'm tackling Victini when it's already a pretty damn decent Pokemon. But to be perfectly honest with you, Victini is as cookie cutter as it gets currently. It's V-Create, Fusion Bolt, all over the freaking place. Physical Victini is just everywhere, but it still has some tools on the special side. Players just need an incentive to use them. So what I'm trying to do is to improve the viability of those special Victini sets so that it might someday be overused. Don't really count on it though, because things are only gonna get worse and worse as the power creep goes on. But nonetheless, right now, Searing Shot is 100 power, 100 accuracy, 30% chance of burn. Pretty decent until you consider that Fire Blast's accuracy is boosted by Victory Star, and the extra damage is often preferred over the extra chance of burn Searing Shot has. And looking at the Smogon stats, I found out about something that's really, really weird. Victini, it learns both Searing Shot and Fusion Flare, okay? Both moves have 100 power, 100 accuracy, but, well, you're seeing the added effect for Searing Shot right here. Fusion Flare has an added effect, but it's just so bad that it's not even worth considering. And yet, in spite of that, Fusion Flare is more popular than Searing Shot. What the fuck? So, my attempt at a solution to make Searing Shot at least better than Fire Blast and Fusion Flare, as it should be, is to increase the power to 120. And considering it already has a 180 power move waiting on the physical side, I don't think that's overkill at all, especially considering that, Searing Shot doesn't have a drawback. it even has an added effect, a chance to burn. So yeah, this is what I would do. And finally, Steamroller, only learned by 2 Pokemon, Golem and Scolipede. And I think we can all agree that both Pokemon are never going to see the light of day in overuse. I mean, sure, Golem had its salad days in Generation 1, but nowadays it's just, no. Just don't even consider it. And so, as a result, I decided, Steamroller is another of those moves that really need a boost, considering that right now, it's a Bug-type clone of Stomp. No kidding. So, what I would do, considering that Golem and Scolipede are both so far down the pecking order, simply increase the power to 100. And, it might seem much at first, considering, it's got a 30% chance of flinch, 100 accuracy, and no drawback. But come on, it's Golem and Scolipede! They really need something to help them get up that pecking order, so how about buffing that signature move? Number 6, make submission a fighting-type double edge. I will be honest, I never, ever understood why they created a move with 80 power and 80 accuracy. And on top of that, they expect us to take recoil from that. That is just ridiculous. I've never managed to wrap my head around that. So, pretty straightforward. Make it a fighting-type double edge. It's not like it's widely distributed anyway. It was back in Generation 1, but nowadays, it just belongs to a handful of Pokemon, which, to be fair, include Excadrill. Now, I'm not sure that boosting submission like that would make Excadrill so much better that it would be the difference maker between it being broken and not broken, especially since it's already got that very effective Earthquake Rock Slide combo. I'd be far more worried about it ever getting Stone Edge if it came down to it. So I think that would be a pretty good move that could give some Pokemon extra options, such as a Poliwrath, for example, that would really love a stupidly strong fighting-type move. So yeah, that's something that I would really love to see happen, because 80 power, 80 accuracy, recoil damage, holy shit, that move is bad! Number 7. Increase the accuracy of Poison Powder and Stun Spore from 75% to 100%, and make Poison Powder inflict toxic poison. First, let's talk about Poison Powder, since that's a really easy case to make. Right now, the toxic TM is just about universal. Every Pokemon in the game, bar only a few, can learn a move that has 90 accuracy and inflicts toxic poison. So, with that in mind, what is the point of Poison Powder, which is less accurate and inflicts a status that is considered beneficial, if only because it makes you immune to other, more dangerous statuses? So, yeah, it's just bad, considering that Poison Powder's distribution is just nowhere near toxic. It would make sense to make it a slightly more effective toxic, at the very least. And as for Stun Spore, well, once again, it's an easy case to make. Thunder Wave already has 100 accuracy, so just, boost Stun Spore as well. It's not like it's going to revolutionize anything, it's just going to make it a move that people will actually want to use. I mean, when was the last time Thunder Wave ever broke something? Well, I know what you're going to say, Incarnate Thunderous, but that guy had Prankster. And to be honest, Whimsicott does have Prankster and Stun Spore as well, but Whimsicott is fundamentally a much worse Pokemon than Incarnate Thunderous. So I think it would just make it more appealing without even coming close to being broken. So, yeah, just boost these two moves, because we've waited long enough for these moves to be worth something. So just, make them as reliable as they deserve to be. Number 8, redesign Reckless. Last time I talked about this, Reckless was completely exclusive to Hitmonlee, so I suggested a really, really big boost, like plus 50% damage instead of just plus 20. But nowadays, we got a few capable Pokemon that get it, most notably Mienshao and Staraptor. But Mienshao already relies very much on Regenerator, so Reckless has some catching up to do if it wants to be as useful as that. As for Staraptor, however, as you can see, my idea would be to have a slight improvement to the percentage boost to the damage, but it would work on all drawback moves, as well as jump kick and high jump kick being thrown in because it already works with them. Could you imagine Staraptor having that 30% damage boost to both Brave Bird and Close Combat? And Double Edge, which it already has? That would be freaking amazing. Staraptor might actually be able to get that lucky break in Overuse that it's waited for so long. And as for the other Pokemon that get it, well, Hitmonlee would really be improved. It could use stuff like Close Combat with Reckless. Emboar could use stuff like Superpower or Hammer Arm and get that boost. Well, provided that it ever gets Reckless one day, because it still doesn't have it. But still, food for thought. I think this is an ability that could stand to have a slight improvement, maybe not as severe as it deserved to be back when only Hitmonlee have it, but still, something interesting to think about. Number 9. Insomnia and Vital Spirit users can use rest, fully recovering their HP without falling asleep. Last time I talked about this, all of the users of these two abilities were just so bad that it would have been a welcome boost, and nothing's changed, really. A few new Pokemon got it, most notably Electivire and Magmortar through the Dream World, but still, I wouldn't really recommend anyone using Magmortar, and Electivire without Motor Drive is really, really hard to handle. So yeah, I think it's still very much called for that these abilities can finally be able to use rest without falling asleep. I don't know why Game Freak is so afraid of full recovery at no drawback on Pokemon that would otherwise be near unusable, but that's something that I really, really would like to see. Because the way it works currently is that if you try to use rest on a Pokemon with one of those two abilities, it's just going to fail. It's going to do nothing at all, and you will have wasted a move slot on something that is as effective as Splash. But what if I really want to recover HP? Can I do that? Well, if you don't have any other sources of recovery, well, tough luck. So this is why I would like to see the bulk of these Pokemon being improved. Stuff like, for example, Noctowl and Hypno that have pretty decent defenses could really stand to gain a lot from such a change. So this is why I would really, really like to see it implemented someday. Now, that does it for stuff that I'm repeating from the last time I did this, though it took a lot longer because I just rambled on and on about everything. So, starting in the next part, we're going to take a look at those new changes that came up over the course of this generation that I would like to see for Generation 6.